Hello guys, and monthly is going to be first. You voted. This doesn't mean that twin flames are not coming up. They are coming up very next week. So let's kind of go with general messages, and actually from what I see there will be twin flames over here as well. First of all, my promotion, speed up promotion, is still on. I'm struggling to catch up, especially this weekend. I was like lying down in bed and relaxing and more or less recovering from a kind of like stomach bug kind of thing, but it is still on. So that means within 7 days you get it now instead of 3 weeks if you order regular. If you order a rush, you get it within 3 days, and if you order urgent, 24 hours. And that's it. Let's start with this. It was interesting. I was shuffling cards and I was thinking, which kind of card decks do I kind of like pick? These are general messages for all the signs for this kind of like transition of Leo. So this is basically almost until the end of August, and very similar messages I'm getting here around and around. There's like this Nautilus, right? Fibonacci, if you really wish. And then from this deck I got the Burden. Look at that. It's kind of like interesting card. Actually, probably I should put this on autofocus so you can see it better. Look at that. It's saddled with a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, you need to do that, and even the rooster on top of the head. So just kind of like being bombarded with things that maybe we shouldn't be doing. So 6, and then another 6. Talking about a time passage, and this makes so much sense. We are entering Mercury retrograde, and of course it's going to be some kind of possibly memory lane. It might be somebody showing up. And then we have, this is law of attraction, the law of attraction. There is like this universal feeling of belonging. So 3 6s are not the devil's sign. 3 6s are twin flames, soulmates. Something will be really cutting through over here. Now, this is also a very interesting card. It's like talking about, you know, there is like that spiral in there, and it's the quality of events when a lesson, it's not really quite integrated. You know, cycles that we kind of like really are challenged to break. We need to revisit a pattern from a new perspective. So when we get this card, it's kind of like a reminder that although maybe sometimes it appears that we are going backward, as oh my gosh, I'm never going to catch up with these bills or stuff like that, the truth is that you are now standing at a higher ground. You know how we've been through elementary school, we kind of like learn certain things in biology, history, right, whatever. Then you get to high school, you're learning the same thing, but much more. You're seeing it from a different kind of like perspective. So this is kind of like telling me that you will be we will be looking at our circumstances and learn something. And we now, with this Mercury retrograde, will be pulling something from the past, something that maybe burdened us, something that kind of like the time is up, sort of a thing, right? If it is a twin flame, then we need to really look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, this is all awesome, but it doesn't work for my life, or it does work in my life, and I will continue with that, right? So no more how did I get here again kind of a thing, right? It's, if this is like something that sounds familiar to you in your dynamics with others, it really kind of like maybe, you know, you're realizing that you're repeating an old story with the same sort of a person. You know what I say, you know, maybe they're attracted to you because of kind of like your easy acquaintance, and you kind of like can wrap around their own qualities. But this is also kind of like telling me, meaning the person, this is kind of like typical with twin flames. Twin flame is more or less an energy not of a person but of a soul, and I think it energy kind of can jump from a person to a different person. So meeting the same person in a different bodies can be the case over here. And like you're saying, oh my gosh, I feel that it's a lots of self-blame for some people. How did I get here? How do I get out? And I kind of like it, because when we get bothered with something, which obviously here we are kind of like really bothering, then we are actually able to change it. There's like definitely echo of the past that is happening over here. Like, and we can see it here, this passage of time. But look at this, like this shoulds and shouldn'ts. And who is imposing on you stuff? And if you're doing something and you don't really like it, or that it has no function, then why are you doing it? It's kind of like time to really do it, because you can always go faster, you can always try harder, you can always reach the top. Hey, how about, stopping that rat race, stopping that struggle kind of a thing? Because it tells me, and that was like me over the weekend, hey, you really will not have the energy if you keep doing that, right? Chances are, like, that this kind of like issues. Hi, Sophie. See, she's leaving her little prints over here. Chances are that like maybe lots of things that you feel that you should do are really in your mind. It doesn't mean that they have to weigh you down, right? So it's really time to lighten up over there. It's really time to kind of like really figure out what is the burden in your life, because you know what they say, you keep repeating the same things over and over and over, you're not really going to get different results. Something will really need to change. So I really think it's going to be lots of internal work, lots of stuff that is again coming to the fore. But in a good way, because it's going to get resolved with kind of like this telling me this like law of attraction is working. It is attracting emotions, persons, situations. So thinking positive thoughts and telling yourself, you know what, I always done this. Let me kind of like try to do things kind of like differently this time around. This actually will work this time. So shifting the patterns, shifting the perceptions, not really jumping on, issues or words that people tell you, kind of like doing things differently will actually really be effective at this time. So let's go into individual Taroscopes, and I also want to just give happy birthday to Leos and toward the end of the month Virgos. So Virgos are already kind of getting ready, and Leos are going to have an awesome time. So let's start. Hello, my dear Taurus. This is the August reading for you. Now, when we kind of like got out of the way, some kind of general messages that every single sign will have. Also, just not to forget, this is for Taurus sun sign. This is for Taurus ascendant. This is for Taurus moon. And this is also for Taurus who are cross-watching. So lots of different energies, lots of kind of like balls coming my way. And I noticed the dot, and I'm sorry, I'm OCD. So let's start. Of course, guys, nothing beats personal reading. Try it out. If you never did, you will see what a difference this actually really makes. So the card that kind of like really wanted to squeeze itself out on a couple of occasions is like Four Wands, which is a very promising card. It is really talking about feeling comfort in decision to go to the next level. Kind of like, hey, you know what, I really want to do that. So whatever this is, whether this is at work, whether this is at home, if you haven't been dating and like you're going to get your feet wet, you're going to put the ad, you're going to go and kind of like actively start looking. If you're dating, then maybe you're going to have the talk and the things will actually get serious. maybe you know, you're going to get engaged after, like, I mean, some time of serious dating. So let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Yes, this also means very soon as well. And lovely, that's kind of like really your element, Queen of Pentacles. Really feeling a comfort, really feeling kind of that you are like reaching this decision that is kind of like going to get you to this level. So if you're a lady, that really means that you're finding some kind of like elements of your life kind of like pulling together. So you're actually becoming very resourceful, you are becoming very reliable, and you really know that for you to maintain that, you will actually want the same type of people, the same type of circumstances around you. So it's going to maybe take a little bit of work to kind of like get there, but you're like kind of like very, very dedicated to be there. So let's see. You have forgiving and learning, stay optimistic about your love life, reconciliation, worth waiting for, playfulness, soulmate. It almost like sounds to me that you're pushing that button. I am going to kind of really open up to that, sort of like you were sleeping, but right now it's time to find that prince. Deception, yes, that's what I was telling you about, that Queen of Pentacles. And let your friends help you. Oops. Passion and codependency. It's not the greatest news to see here, but luckily this is the really only card that sort of like can be really changed in this reading. So let me just show it to you a little bit better perspective, and I'll be telling you the cards that are the kitty cards, but in tarot also you need to look what you see. And I love cat cards because it really focuses on kind of like the pure emotion, which also tarot is all about. So let's start. The past. Some of you got disillusioned. Yes, you were saying to yourself on some level, sure, I'm going to wait for these things to happen. But on the other level, you really didn't do any steps to kind of like go toward that. Two of, you know, wands, look, you know, the emotions are on the back burner, the thoughts are in like on the front one. It is really talking about, no, you know what, like, I mean, decisions are really hard right now and I'm not going to do it. Oh, look at this, the karma card showed up, a Knave of Pentacles. It looks like it really didn't work because, you know, sometimes, you know, things work out that way, that they sneak through. Like when people are waiting, oh, I need to be completely healthy and completely free from the old baggage before I move forward. That's lovely. But that means you're kind of like freezing your life until this happens. Life keeps going and nobody is like pushing you into the situation, but it's like really saying, look, you know what, you still have to live around. And it looks like for you something has already started to spin that wheel. Something is placed in motion with sort of like small steps forward. Like you have the Knave of Pentacles, and you have a King of Pentacles, and you have Queen of Pentacles. All three, the families here, and this also could be the card of family. So for those of you who maybe have been going through the rough patch, you know, maybe this is like now the time for the sun to shine. Because I do see good news and bad news here in the center of this reading. You have forgiving and learning, and then you have the sun. But it also says stay optimistic about your love life. The sun is a really good kind of like thing to get in your reading, especially because it can empower every single thing that kind of could be negative. And you do have a few negatives in your reading. Well, life is never without a glitch, right? But this is saying this is a biggie. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. This is kind of like the clarity, you know, it almost like it's disinfectant. Sun is the best disinfectant. You know, it's kind of like getting that spring in your feet, getting that optimism back is really important, where we don't feel the weight of past experiences anymore holding or being around our neck. And yeah, you guys are becoming a little bit chirpier. Knight of Chalices and Nine of Wands are really two promising cards. It's talking about movement forward. You are really closing one chapter, that's for sure. And even though you're closing and starting a new one, so it's more than closing, it's kind of like going to be that one day you're feeling still that you're thinking about something from the past or someone from the past, and the next day you're not going to even remember it. And maybe you're going to remember 7 days later, 30 days later, and you go, yeah, I really didn't have that. That's how it happens with us. We usually don't remember good things. So let's say you're sick and you're suffering, you have bad temperature, you have pains in your tummy. Of course, like every single cell of yours is noticing this. But you know, the moment when you're healthy, oh, you forget taking the antibiotics and stuff, because this is how it really works. You, however, some of you are still actually living your present with some physical manifestation. It could be a lawsuit, and it could be a whole bunch of things, right, that has happened. And this is kind of like the hardest thing, that you have these memories, that you have not just memories but reminders. This could be bills, this could be the life is more expensive, this could be, you know, I have given you so much, and why? Because this card is really talking about betrayal and somebody being deceptive and somebody being, you know, greedy. So whether this is you or this is done to someone, to you, yeah, it kind of looks like some of you could have had legal encounters that have been a big struggle, or maybe you're still going through it. So it's two swords for you and wands. It is like taking so much energy. Like it looks like this month you just want to sit back and relax, family life. You literally want to do that, and you actually consciously want to make this decision to stay optimistic. You have forgiving and learning, you have the sun, and you have another optimism here. And trust me, that optimism will actually work no matter what happens. I mean, I don't know if you ever did this rice experiment. Just do it. If you are the game, you just boil the rice and put it in the just simply plastic bottles or whatever, you know, mason jars, and divide it in 3 and put a big sticker, or just write with a marker on one, I love you, another one, I hate you, and don't do anything on the third one, and see what happens. So it's going to happen that the love you is going to deteriorate way less than the other two, and it's the same batch of rice. Hate you, it's going to get green within a week or 2 weeks for sure. But the one that hasn't been marked is going to suffer the most, because when we ignore someone, or when we are ignored, we suffer the most, because that means, you know, we are just I guess not even important enough. So this kind of like is really telling me that you have been the rice in that experiment for quite a while. You have been experiencing that mixture of loving and being loved back, hating and hating back, and ignoring and being ignored back. It's sort of like the whole bunch of stuff, and you're tired. You have been taken through the grinder from what I see, and as I said, really, all you want, hey, I really want my family. It says the base here is reconciliation. You kind of like want return of this person, and this is you, Taurus. It is like you being finally the ruling your home, understanding the comfort that you want to have. And this is just more than physical, basically treats. It's more or less kind of like knowing, well, this is my legacy. That's what I'm pushing through. There you go, another kind of home and comfort. Not only just that loved one, but the entire family and kids. And every little bit of that is going to make you happy. Reconciliation, I really also think that it's going to be lots of family activities. And also you have the Knight of Swords here, that you're getting like, again, that higher level vibrations that are really telling me that you really need to go in kind of like discussing and your own truth and laying down your truth. Maybe it's going to take a little bit of even detective work for you this month, because there's like still something that is brewing under the surface. So we kind of have to figure out what it is, because yeah, somebody is setting you up. Somebody is, and I don't know why, when I saw the cards first, before I start clarifying them, what flashed in front of my eyes was, you know how in Africa they do this like sticks, and they dig this big hole and they put the sticks over it, and the animal falls in and cannot fall out. So it just gave me that image of being captured or stuck. And then I'm seeing here, you will really try to get unstuck, and that is kind of like really wearing you out. Now, some of you are not so willing to only settle for somebody coming back or the same old. I definitely see that the motion is starting to kind of like move forward, and playfulness is there. Like these two cards, the codependency, playfulness, and then 6 of the lovers reversed, is not necessarily a great combination. It really tells me that certain lessons are still not being learned. You see, this is generally the card of commitment, which you want. You want this kind of like family, you want this happiness, you kind of like want to go to the next level. But you can want all you want. You can be the best person on this planet. If somebody's plan is just to play you, or if you're playing with a person who is just not a nice person, not diligent, you can do that forever, and it's not going to get you where you want to be, to that comfort zone. There you go. And again, I told you, this is connecting. Oh, that's heavy. These are like two sides of a coin, and I'm like really having like I'm really feeling discomfort right now. This is almost the same, the two of them. It's kind of like, hey, great choices to bad choices, but they were not great choices to start with, and it's going from bad to the worse, right? It's, hey, you know, I'll give it a try, and then you get almost like hooked on some sick stuff. Just be very careful if you're meeting someone, because if somebody is going to come across as very communicative, you raised your energy to combat something in your life. I see that. And with raising your energy, you're attracting from the higher energy than yours, from fire and from air, everything, good and the bad. Like good is like, yeah, you're obviously able to clarify that. You are able to feel this optimism, right? You're able to push this wheel of fortune, wheel of destiny, right? Karmic wheel. There is like all there. But also, you know, you're attracting the bad from those energies, which can be, you know, scorched earth kind of a symptom, or, you know, deception. And the codependency can talk quite a bit about drugs and indulgences. Could talk about somebody being unreliable, and somebody just keep doing what they want to do for them. This is kind of situation when we start to feel controlled. And that controlling is not like most of us say, oh, that would never happen to me. Of course, no, okay, I just keep on moving on. This is not me. Okay, stop and think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you're being told something and you kind of like, that kind of hurts, but they didn't mean that. For sure they didn't mean it. No, they didn't mean it. And you could brush it off. And then it happens again, differently. Then you're being accused of something you haven't done. You know, this is how they start doing that. That's what's called gaslighting. That's what's called, and next thing you know, before you know, the wool is over your eyes. So be very, very careful. It can happen to all of us. Oh my gosh, 6, 6, and 6. And I always see this as a karmic, basically soulmate, and it is. And it's also that you have a karma card here. But you really have, this is going to exorcism this month, guys. and it's going to go inside, you need to open this door. You need to find the faith and willingness to do that, because Six of Cups is talking about things from the past resurfacing. Maybe you have modus operandi, how you deal with things and how you want to kind of like chase things away, but the truth is it kind of like needs to be cleared. You kind of like, there is the sun, there's like light, that's where you want to go. You do have this focus, right? You kind of have it for a while, but whether you were tired or exhausted or you just like wanted to just let me sit and rest, there's kind of like definitely something that stipulates to be handled before you can move forward, because the rest over here gets complicated. Okay, so imminent future is soulmate, but you know, again, you're just too tired. You just want to be left alone. It could be avoiding the problems. Sometimes we meet somebody who seems to be very nice. These people who are the devil, they don't come to our life in package by going, you know, you will be my slave and you'll be washing my floor. You'll be washing my floors and my clothes, and I'll be cheating on you. No. That would not work. Nobody is like that to them, even though I'm pretty sure there are a few people. No, they'll come and say, oh my gosh, look at you, you're so beautiful, you are so amazing. And initially you're going to feel like it's kind of like weird, or they're going to tell you that they love you too soon, and you'll say, well, you don't even know me, and I have only shown you good parts of me. And the things that you even don't love about yourself, that you clearly know they're unlovable, and you all have those kind of like nooks and crannies, they'll love. These guys are all red flags. These people know, because they understand human psychology better than us normal people do. And normal psychology is like, trust them when they tell you. When the people tell you they are bad, and they are bad. And I see it in my practice so often. Oh my gosh, like he's saying, like, you know, he is a loser, but I know he has this. Women fall in love, especially women. Oh, men also. It's not like, I mean, negative value here. We fall in love with potential. We love to see potential in people. When you see somebody breaking through, we kind of like get tears in our eyes, tears of joy, because we know it's possible, and it feels so good, as if we reached our potential. So when somebody says, no, like, I mean, we think that we're doing a good thing by picking them up. It's not your job to carry somebody else's weight. You just have to do yours. Yeah, giving them a finger, sure, but not a whole hand. So pay attention to this, because this keeps telling me that something is going to, yeah, look at this blindfold, Eight of Swords and Ace of Wands. You really want somebody from the past, and you're just like willing to oversee everything that happened. You are willing to put aside everything that happened, that you have been going through fear and through pain. It is just like a druggie. That's what codependency does. Oh, yes, we are together, everything will be fine, because you got your fix. But it's not fixed. It's just that relief is there. And there is like situation that you guys be going through that includes deception and shadows and wearing false masks. You don't even know what you're dealing with, even though you want to find out. Almost like feels to me that you are not willing to do the hard work. And I mean, I get it. It looks like it has been some trouble brewing for quite a while, and that you want to get rid of it, but you're getting rid of it without addressing the cause, without acknowledging this. You're getting rid of this by saying, oh, I'm going to brag to the moon. So what happened with going there? Like, everybody's forgetting this pathway, right? Moon is like not a good card. The moon is like always talking about shadows, talks about jealousy, talks about somebody is going to say to you everything is just fine, but it's not going to be fine. Have Eight of Pentacles and the Fool. Yes, Like what is really needed here is really work, and it's really transparency. Really, look at this. The kitty is removing all these bead curtains to really see this work, to really see what is done, right? Otherwise, it's the wool over your face. You cannot see it. You would never see this kind of like small intricacies. So this kind of like, to me, is also day-to-day work. You know what, like, I mean, people say, oh, you know, like, I mean, how could you look in my phone? Well, you know, it's never good to spy on someone, but sometimes I'm really horrible that way. I never ever checked phones or messages on any of my exes, and in retrospect, I wish I should have, because I would save myself some time, because trusting it's something that we grant to people. It's kind of like really weird quality. It's almost like not liquid, right? Mind you, cats are liquid. They can put themselves anyway in shape anywhere. But that's, I kind of like I mean, let me get back to the subject. I digressed. Trust is like very solid. You have it, you give it to someone, and then they smash it, and it's like nothing left. You cannot even give it to them because it doesn't exist anymore, right? So it has to be rebuilt, but it's kind of like hard to rebuild when you don't even have the building blocks, and you already know where you have been by giving that to someone. So that's kind of like a problem. But it looks like you really want somebody who has been in your life, or those of you who are single, you really want somebody who is reliable. But you also have to understand that it's not only needing another person. It's not like, hey, I'm going to put like a kind of thing on a hook and going to hook somebody up. So what if the shark comes out and swallows you? Like, you have to be prepared. There can be all kinds of surprises. And, you know, you just kind of like you can build this life on House of Cards. Well, isn't this a good enough lesson that certain things did not work out, that you have seen somebody for who they are, that you need to kind of like realize that? Isn't this enough that you have been down and trying to heal your wounds and trying to pull all these swords out of your things? You know, luckily it looks like you have your friends, and somebody really wanted all the best for you. You know, some friends are really good friends. And those friends that are good friends, probably you will not consider good friends, because they will really tell you what they think. Others will try to be good friends by soothing you. As I say, I can see that all of them have their own role. And for me, reading tarot cards sometimes is a combination of the two, telling you, hey, you know what, it's okay. But the other part of me is saying, look, you know, I really need to kick you. Not because you're on the like, I mean, you're all the way kind of like on the floor, but because if you stay there, you're not going to survive. I'm kicking you because I know you can start moving forward. It's kind of interesting that you're getting all this kind of like cards telling you you need to transform. You need to kind of like move ahead. Something has to die. Maybe you're involved with somebody who's toxic. Maybe you're involved with somebody who keeps running away and kind of like keeps coming back, because this is telling you you kind of like need to walk away from something, start fresh, start rebuilding things, not even brick by brick, but like piece by piece by piece, starting with inside, starting what you really want, who you really are. This card is also a card of immense trust. You know, I think that's the most devastating in any relationship, that we lose trust. And it's not only in that person, but that quantity of trust, that solid object to kind of like see it, just is gone, and it cannot be given to anybody else. And then it almost like it's a poison, and lack of it penetrates all our relationships. And I think this month you'll be rebuilding mostly relationships with your family, with your friends. And that's going to give you comfort that there is like some level of trust rebuilt, because the trust in yourself is what is really important. When you trust yourself, you know, then you will know that you can handle the situation. So let your friends help you. Like, talk to them. This is definitely words. Swords are words. Tell them how much certain things hurt you, and don't judge them. Sometimes people will give you advice, and this is like their form of trying to help. If you don't want advice, just tell them, look, I really want just somebody to listen to me. Men, if you're listening, this is the mistake you very often do. The woman just like wants to get out of her system some stuff, and then there is a practical help that nobody wants. Oh, do you think this dress makes me look fat? No, sweetie, but yeah, sure, exercising would be really great. No, I did not ask you this. Just tell me you changed your dress, or, you know, like, I mean, I don't like this color, something, right? That's kind of like the better way to go about it. Friends will give you some level of energy, but, you know, you really need to do your own work. This is keeps coming. That's, look. You know, something new cannot start without something else being finished. The World card reversed, it means that some friends over here, you also have to figure out who is your friend. Be careful over here, because some of these people might have in their own interest to keep you in that state. Maybe you just want to change the conversation that you have. Maybe you have same old. Maybe you're getting on everybody's nerves. Maybe you have a friend who's getting on your nerves. It is kind of time to change the conversation and try to get to the point of what it is, including asking a question, what is wrong with me? You know, people ask this question, why do you always attract people like that? Well, when this card shows up, that usually tells me you keep attracting the same things over and over again. Well, how about changing the approach and see what happens? So now we have hopes and fears, passion, and death. This card of Scorpio is definitely passion. But maybe you had certain kind of like passion taste. Maybe your passion was green, and maybe you have to have like passion orange kind of a thing. So you have the death, you have 8 of Wands. Yeah, I was just thinking how many 8s did I have, because we have now 3 8s. And this is kind of like also what is emerging, that you have 3 8s, you have 3 6s. It is emerging that something for you has been going on, this transformation, since last August. So now we are like, what, 12, 13 months later. And you kind of like have to figure out. I really feel that this is telling you that for your best solution, for your best interest, like there is a need to look for something new, look for new messages, look for new solutions, and keep going in this direction until you figure out if you're missing out on something. There is like something that has to end in order for you to move in this direction. And the reason for that is like with somebody, like there is never going to be this ability of a teamwork. You have like this 3 of Pentacles reversed, you have another 3 of Cups, and you have the Chariot. You see, look at the 6, 3 and 3, 6 and 7, 13, and we again coming to this Death card. It's telling you it is actually probably a good time to kick this codependency. It's a really big lesson. It takes years and decades for that to kind of like be overthrown, and to understand, hey, you know what, no amount of me trying to build this, if it takes 2 people to build and it's only 1 person building, it's not going to take twice as long. It's going to take forever, because it takes 2 people to build, right? And only then, by overthrowing this, by understanding this, and this is again saying like actually your friends will be there to hug you, to understand you, to help you move forward. For you, to some kind of like level, it's going to be a black and white decision. You will really have to figure out, you know, like what kind of like I recommend, just do the yes or no list. I like this part and I don't like this part. So just see which one weighs more. And just like it's glaring at you, and you have to ask yourself, so why do I want this? People just tend to be lured into that addiction of, hey, you know, the person can become addiction. So if this is the case for you, or if you think you're doing this for the kids, you really need to think again, because every single card over here told me that going back is creating pain, and going forward brings release. I think because your earth sign to your family is family über alles, kind of family is about everything. But I really think also that you need to understand that quality family should be above everything, not any family. So Taurus, let me get a card of advice for you. And you got Spirit of Place reversed. So let's see what it says. It's a very earthy, very beautiful card. It says, don't get entangled in details or desires that obscure the truth of your situation. Step back and ask yourself, what's the real nature of my inquiry? Even exquisitely seductive hidden agendas cannot conceal this. Trust your intuition. The Spirit of Place is whispering in your ear. You hold the power to tell the truth, first to yourself, then to the world. You can always distinguish between an essence that is true and the one that is synthetic. Be honest with yourself and remain willing to let your situation be revealed for what it really is and not what you want it to be. An apple can become an orange, just as a dog can never be a bird. Are you trying to change someone or something to suit your agenda? Only when you see things as they truly are, you will find the real treasure. So again, guys, those friends that are willing to tell you the truth will be the true and real friends for life. And friend is the theme, family is the theme this particular month. And of course, I would love to hear what you have to say. You guys are trying to overthrow something really big, and I can understand it is a struggle. However, I hope you do that, because by doing that, you will actually be moving toward your own happiness. So thanks, Taurus, for being here and listening. And if this kind of like was something that you could pick up on, that's really great. And if you haven't, please click this button, subscribe here, so you can be notified of the future readings. And also, if you want your tarot fix, check me on Facebook and on Instagram for daily tarot. And until the next time, you can also get a private reading with me via cattarot.ca. Love you, Taurus, and I really hope you conquer yourself this month. All the best.